my story really starts with one of my favorite quotes, and it's by my mentor, Zig Ziglar. And that is, man was designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, and endowed with the seeds of greatness. Now, I love that quote because what it really is saying is everything you need to be successful in your personal life and your professional life, it's already within you. You have them. You were born with them. Now, you don't have to believe you have them to have them. You do. Part of this weekend is so that you all can recognize those seeds of greatness, because when you do and you take that and you share that with other people, that's how you make a difference. But every single person in this room has seeds of greatness. And what do we do with seeds? Well, of course, you have to take care of them, right? So your seeds of greatness, you have to nourish them. You have to give them water and light and everything they need to be successful. But when you do, when you really nourish what you already have within you, that's when amazing things start to happen. That's when you can flourish. That's when you can help more people. That's when you can have significance. But it starts with recognizing what your seeds are first. So my story started in 1989. I know, some of you have never seen this picture. Like, yeah. So what's funny is I was trying to find my biggest hair day picture, and this is not even close to it, but it's as good as I could get. You ladies, who remembers the 80s? Okay, how many of you remember Aquanet and the up and out, and I mean, the bigger the better, and especially in Texas. So I discovered my seeds of greatness in 1989, and you know, it was kind of my coming of age. I actually was I just graduated high school, and I was getting ready to go off to college. I live here locally. I was going to University of North Texas, and my parents decided that they wanted to give me a big send-off gift, something that would really impact my life, you know, make a difference. And so when they told me that they wanted to give me this gift, I was so excited because I had been waiting and waiting and waiting for a car for a long, long time. And so I knew when they said that they've got this big gift for me and they're going to present it to me and give it to me, all this stuff, that it had to be the car, right? So I go to or we're at dinner and they share with me what it is, and they say, Michelle, this gift's going to change your life. And I'm thinking, oh yes, it will. I cannot wait. This gift is going to be the envy of all of your friends. And at this point, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a convertible. I was so excited. This gift is going to take you places. And I thought, yes, it will. Give me the keys. This gift is a ticket to a seminar. Yep. But not just a seminar. You know what kind of seminar it was? It was a motivational seminar. I'm 18 years old. I don't want to be motivated. Anyone relate? Kids, teenagers in the room? So literally, I go to this seminar, and it was the weekend before I was going off to college. So it was not the best time. It was the weekend I was hoping to be with all my friends and enjoy, you know, my last hurrah with them. And I go to this seminar, and it changed my life. It was a seminar called Born to Win, and it was hosted by this guy named Zig Ziglar. How many of you have heard of Zig Ziglar? Raise your hand. All right. Well, I had never heard of him. I certainly did not want to spend 3 days with him. But I go to this seminar, and it did change my life. And it's funny. The seminar was a lot like this. It was for people from all over the world. We have other at least 1 or 2 other countries come in here. We had there were hundreds and hundreds of people. The thing that was really unique, though, is I was 18. My brother was 21. He went with me. And we were the youngest people in that room by decades. I mean, I give kudos to you because you're clearly the youngest by decades. So something magical is going to happen to you. But we go to this seminar, and at first I was so like, oh, I don't want to be here. But something happened. I found my passion that weekend. I just absorbed. Anyone ever heard Zig Ziglar speak? He has a way of doing that to you. And I took everything in, from goal setting to, you know, self-esteem building to everything that it takes to be successful was taught at this seminar. And I loved it. And at the end of the seminar, I was so excited. I couldn't wait to get my book signed. And I waited in the long line. And when I got up to the front of the line, I was already so nervous. But I walked up to him and I said, Mr. Ziegler, I'm going to work for you one day. And as I said it, I'm like, oh, did I just say that? I really am. And he just smiled. And have you ever been in a situation that you can't logically explain, but you kind of have a gut instinct or a gut feeling? I had this so strongly at 18 that I was going to be some way, somehow working with Mr. Zig Ziglar. And of course, it was a little crazy at the time because who was I? I was just a little high school student. But I went to college literally that next week, and 4.5 years later, I graduated from college. I was in my very first job. Now, don't be jealous, but my first job was selling copiers. Okay, seriously. Anybody ever sell copiers? Rod, we can talk. It's, I feel for you too. Anyway, it was the worst job I've ever had in my entire life, but it did something amazing for me. I was out cold calling in Carrollton, Texas, and there were all these little offices or companies in this little office park, and I had no idea who was headquartered there, but I walk up to the front of the building, and it says, the Zig Ziglar Corporation. I literally about fell over. I was like, oh my gosh, that's right, I'm supposed to work here. And immediately I'd kind of forgotten about that goal I made of working for Zig. So I run in there and I asked the receptionist if there were any job openings, because I would do anything to work with Zig Ziglar. And so there was a sales position they were hiring for. I'd already kind of promised myself I would never be in sales again because I hated it so much, but an opportunity to work for Zig I couldn't pass up. So I ended up interviewing and I got the job pretty much on the spot. And I'm not saying that to impress anyone because 6 months in copier sales, not impressive. But I tell you that because I know that what happened was I planted a seed, my seed. I took root that day. I knew what I wanted. When you are crystal clear on what you want to accomplish in your life, when you're crystal clear on your passions, your why, and everything that you want to do, whether it's with a book, a business, just your personal life, when you have that clarity, your mind can't help but go in the direction of what you're thinking about. Now, it wasn't a direct line for me to get to Ziegler, but I ended up getting the job, and I worked there for about 4 years, 3.5, 4 years, and it was the best experience of my life. Just some pictures. Don't judge the hairstyles or the clothes, but this is like a few pictures of me through the years with the Zieglers. And it was the most amazing experience to work in the corporate office. I worked with my good buddy Jill and anyone else here at the time from Ziegler. Anyway, it was an amazing experience. And I'm sharing all this with you to tell you that I did start out having some clarity on what I wanted to do. And I knew I loved working and making a difference. But then I did something really crazy. I decided when it was the dot-com boom and I was getting lured away or kind of dangled by a golden carrot to go work in software sales that I decided to quit. And I remember, I think I was even having the conversation with my dad. I'm like, do I follow my passion? Do I follow the money? Passion, money. And of course, money won out. I was 20, very young 20s, and I went into software sales and I spent the next 13 years in corporate America, the real corporate America. And those 13 years showed me something, that the farther you are from your passion, it's literally impossible to be truly, truly happy. I'm not suggesting anyone out here quit your jobs or anything, but for me, I was miserable. I was successful. I made great money. I looked from the outside in like I had it all together. I was raising a family at the time, but I was miserable because I just wasn't living my purpose, my passion. So I went through several years of really thinking, well, what is my story? What is it? What do I want to do? What lights me up? And I kept going back to 3 words, and that was motivate, inspire, and encourage. And I kept going back to Ziegler in my mind, but I thought, no, it's not that. In my deepest, deepest heart of hearts that I shared with no one, I always wanted to write a book, always. You don't have to raise your hand, but I know there's a few of you in the room who thought that. I want to write a book. Well, who am I to write a book? I did that for 13 years where I would say, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to do this. And then that fear would just stop me and say, oh, no, you're not. Who do you think you are? You're no Zig Ziglar. Until one day, it was actually in 2008. I discovered my seeds of greatness in 1989, but I decided to actually do something with them and nourish them and water them in 2008. And in 2008, I decided to write a book. Now, mind you, let me tell you, I knew nothing about writing a book. I'm not a good writer. I did not get good grades in high school, and I knew nothing about it, but I had this passion. I had this desire. And I decided I'm going to write a book for my kids. I'm going to write a book for my kids, my husband, some friends and family, and share with them my life and what I've experienced by using personal development. So my first book was called Winning in Life Now, How to Break Through to a Happier You. And it's not a story about me being a winner in life. It's a story of me, the ups and downs of my life and how I use personal development and a lot of things I learned from Zig to pull me up. And I wrote it. And I had Zig write the foreword to it. And I published it. And guess what? I didn't tell a soul. I kid you not. I held the book in my hand. And literally, probably I could count on one hand how many people knew about it. Because I wasn't ready to really let those seeds of greatness really take root. But what happened, and why I'm even here today, is when I wrote this book, And somebody actually encouraged me to share it with everyone. I decided to do it. So we did a book launch. And on the day we launched the book, it did hit bestseller in 2 categories. It opened up literally an entire business that I now get to do full-time of speaking and coaching and seminars, all because I wrote the book. I'm sharing this with you just to show you the point of the power of your story. I was the exact same person the day before I wrote my book and the exact same person the day after. The only difference is I now had a published book to hold in my hand, and I was an author. So from that time, and since then, I've actually done quite a bit of their books. You'll learn quite a bit more about me and what I do and the kinds of books I publish. But Winning in Life Now is my first. Busy Being Busy was my second. We're up to volume 8 of Dare to Be a Difference Maker, which is a big passion of mine. I'll share more about later. And then my last book is Your Business Card. Those are all just my own individual. We've since published many, many, many more for others. But that one book, that one taking a step that I wasn't ready to take also opened up all kinds of programs, from CDs to DVDs to home study courses to programs that other people could utilize and share. And then that really led into me being asked to go and speak. And I've since had an opportunity to go and speak and share this message. So the goal I had at 18 when I wanted to motivate, inspire, and encourage people, I get to do now full time. And I'm not suggesting that anyone in this room wants to do the same thing, but some of you might. And I just want to give you that encouragement and the hope that if I can do this, you can do this. It just takes being able to step into your greatness. And then also now I get to do things like Bookbound. I get to help other people like you. I get to have an amazing group of coaching clients in my winner's circle. I get to do all kinds of other things through our publishing company. So it's only because of the book, though, that any of this happened. It's why I do Bookbound. There's power in that book. But my success is really, it's not just about business. The way if I think back, and as I was preparing for this, I was thinking, what really has happened as a result of me becoming an author? It's not just the business part, which has been great, but my family. I do this every time. I don't want to get emotional, and I do. So when I was in corporate America, I was gone. I traveled a lot. I had very little vacation. I didn't have the time to do the things I wanted to do with my kids, and at the time they were in elementary school. So now I have 2 boys, Austin, who is 17, Tyler, who is 14. My husband, Chris, and I, we're going to celebrate our 20-year anniversary this year. Yay, thank you. We dated 4.5 years before that, so we kind of count that, if that's... but they're everything. But now I get to do this. I get to work from home. I get to be with them. I get to make choices and spend the time with them. And we love the beach. You'll hear a lot more about me in the beach. I get to spend time with my little fur babies. I had to show them because they're so cute. I know, right? I love them. So this is my, and just a chance to get to know me a little bit better too. But my baby girl, Zoe, I have all boys, so I had to have a female in my house. That's Zoe Marie. And our new pug puppy, Rex. Don't let the cuteness fool you. We call him Rexzilla because he's a terror. He's terrible, but we love him anyway. And the other cool thing that I get to do, because I took action on writing my book and built this entire business and now do this full time, is I get to work with people I really, really love. This is I don't want to get emotional, but this is my brother John and my parents, John and Ellen Arnott, who, by the way, are in the back of the room. So let's give a big hand for my parents. My dad and my brother own a very successful marketing company, and so I'm actually one of their clients. And so how you probably found out about Bookbound is a lot to do with what they do for me. And my mom, of course, you probably met her at the greeter. So all of this I'm sharing with you is just to prove the point that you can do what you want to do. You can get that story out, and things can happen. Now, you can write a book, and maybe you don't want to share it with anyone. That's okay, too. But getting to focus on what you want to focus on and what matters. But one of the things I am so passionate about is Zig Ziglar and keeping his legacy alive. How many Ziegler Legacy Certified Trainers are in the room right now? So we've got Kanya, David, Charlotte. Okay, so we've got about 5. Oh, Andy in the back, who's our videographer. So I'm working for Zig Ziglar early on. That obviously ignited a passion. Zig died about 5 years ago now, almost four. So I have this passion to keep that legacy going, and I'm actually getting very, very involved with Ziegler going forward. So to do that, and so this has enabled me to be able to focus on what matters. And the other thing that really matters to me is giving back. I wasn't able to give back before. I wasn't able to give back in corporate America. And Make-A-Wish is something that's very, very important to me, and I'll share more about that tomorrow. But this is something that I get to spend my time doing now. I get to do this. I get to focus on what I love. None of this would have happened, I can assure you, if I didn't write that book. So some of you needed to hear that story because you have something inside and it's bubbling and you're thinking, well, maybe, but who am I? Trust me. When you get that story out, that instant credibility, everything changes in the perspective of how people see you. It's instant. And a lot of the opportunities that come along with it can be too.